There she is.
Okay. I
We're
forgot my
actually
earbud.
we're actually live right now,
Okay.
but
Uh-oh.
it's not a big deal. We don't have many people viewing, I don't think, at the moment.
Okay.
But
That means I can rummage through my stuff and get my earbud. Oh,
rummage.
I don't think it's gonna make a difference, right?
If you have earplugs,
Yeah.
if we start to hear some weird feedback, then you will need it.
Okay, I better search for it right now then. Oh, maybe this will work. Sorry, I'm so ill prepared. Uh, for a moment there, I didn't think I could connect to you because I didn't see your invite in my mailbox.
In Gmail,
Mm-hmm.
uh, maybe it takes a few minutes, but you're here now.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we might as well get started here. It's about 4:59. I went and clicked the live button like 3 or 4 minutes ago, so there's a lot of dead space. I hope that I can edit that out in
Were you,
YouTube.
oh, you mean you're just hanging out and waiting? And
It's
you're
just a
recording
picture of
at the
my
same
expressionless face sitting here.
time?
Oh well,
I don't know
you
if you
live and
can
learn.
edit those things out. Oh, no, maybe you can. Maybe you can.
I know you can edit like regular video and all that, but I don't know about these Hangouts. I don't know if it's treated like a regular video.
But I think at the end it'll be a video, and then from there you can edit it.
All right, good. I'll chop that stuff out then. All
Or
right.
people can just scrub past you.
I hope. Well, that's what I. If I can edit it out, they're gonna be like, "What kind of a Hangout is this? Just some guy's face sitting there looking at. He's not even looking at the screen." But all right. Well, let's get
Okay.
started, Miss Kaaloa. You know,
Awesome.
we
Oh, it's
spoke.
hot. It's hot here.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah. It's summer. How's it there?
It is so hot today. It's like
Really?
crazy. And
Is there?
I have summer camp now with my kids.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it is actually fun, but the English classroom that we have, the English zone they call it, was kind of built recently, and they took an old storage unit which is on the top floor of the school, and it used to be an old storage room, so there's not really that great an insulation around the room, so in the summertime it's extremely hot, in the wintertime it is like frigid cold in there.
Wow. And sometimes, like, I know with some of the Korean schools, they don't turn on the AC or the heater. It depends, I guess.
That's the thing. So we got this new vice principal in there, and he's really trying to become a principal in the next, I think, next year. So he's always looking for ways to cut costs, and so the AC, they have the AC locked at like 26 degrees Celsius, I think it is, which doesn't really do a whole lot, and the heat is overcoming it. And then there's a small little wall unit. Well, today we're up there, and yeah, it's borderline getting kind of warm. And then he has not been up in our classroom for 6 months since he started. So he comes up today because there's no teachers or anything going on at school.
Mm-hmm.
He starts turning off all the fans and everything,
Oh my gosh.
and I'm like breaking out into a massive sweat. Well, he happens to sit down in the back of the classroom, like in direct line of the one fan that he left on that is not oscillating. It was just stuck in one position, and directly under the AC unit. So I'm like, he's probably looking at me saying, "Why is this guy sweating so much? It's nice in here, I mean, why is he complaining?" It is so hot though.
Yeah, and like I didn't know how hot Korea got, but I think it ranks up there with New York, right? Maybe it's not as humid as New York is, but
That's pretty bad, yeah.
still pretty hot.
You were in Daegu, right?
I was.
You were in Daegu?
So it felt hot to me. Yeah. I think you guys are close. Well, because you're in Busan, you're closer to the ocean, so I don't know if you get more of a breeze off of the ocean or not. But
It's
I know
a little bit.
Daegu is like locked in the center of Korea, and yeah, air just didn't move.
That's exactly what everybody says. When I was going to have an interview with a university in Daegu a few months ago, and
Ooh,
I mentioned
yay.
it to people. Yeah, I didn't go through with it, but I mentioned it with because I wanted
Now
to
I'm
stay out with
curious.
economic months.
Okay, now I'm curious what college you're interviewing with.
Oh, it was well, hopefully they don't watch this, but it was Kyungpook
Gyeongbok. Okay, I've heard of it.
Kyungpook
It's
National University or something like that.
it's pretty good. It's a good school, right?
Yeah, it was, but it's just what happened was they canceled the interview. The director, the schedules were off, and they canceled it a couple times. And I have to get a day off to go do that. So I'm like, oh man, this is really getting burdensome here. And then I was going to say everybody that I'd ask, I'd say, hey, do you know anything about this school? And they're like, where is it? They're like, it's in Daegu. Very first thing out of their mouth, every single time, many people, wow, it's really hot there. It's like, oh, okay. Well, what about the city? But I just decided at the end, I said, I'm just going to stay with Epic for a little while longer. And then what ended up happening is they extended all the August intake people for 6 months to bring them into February. So I said, that's good enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
but it is
Okay.
hot. It's hot today.
It is. I remember when I was doing summer school or summer camp through my school too during the summer, and initially there was one camp that I worked. I only worked 2 camps that summer, and one was through my school, and the other one was through another like school in the same area as me. And yeah, at first they really didn't want to turn on their AC, and that room was just warm. You just opening all those windows. But eventually
Yeah.
they turned it on, and it was like, but I know some schools don't turn it on just to cut corners, and that's Korea.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how Hawaii is, but in Florida, everything is like nice and cold when you go in everywhere. So coming here, it's like, man, Korea must really not like air conditioning or something because I am always hot. Except for my apartment, I keep it like frigid cold. But
Okay,
So
so start
anyways,
your introduction. I'm sorry, I totally went on a tangent.
introduction. Well, you know, we talked. We talked for like 3 hours that one time that we
Did
spoke.
we?
I got off the phone. I got off this thing, and I was like, man, that was 3 hours, which is kind of crazy. But we talked about mostly like blogging stuff. So I
Mm.
kept a lot of this stuff off of there. But um, for anybody who's watching this either now or it looks like we got 6 people on here, but afterwards too, when it gets posted to my channel, um, I first learned about Christine Kaaloa here, who is AKA the Girl Traveler, when I was just on that decision-making uh, stage of life of whether or not I was going to come to Korea. And the very first blog that I found was your blog, Girl Traveler, and that whole thing about when you came to Korea. And I mentioned this to you before about like the thing that I remember the most is when you walked into your apartment. I think that I haven't read that blog for 4 years, that blog post,
Uh-huh.
or 3.5 years, and you walked past the previous teacher. She was walking out or something like that, and then
Yeah.
you walked in there and you almost had like a meltdown because the place was just a disaster, and you actually had to wrap your mattress in protective plastic or something like that. And I was just like, wow, I can't wait for that.
Did you
Is that
buy a
what happened?
protective plastic? Well, it was a throwback for me because I had just arrived into Korea, and like we're all excited, right? With Epic, they kind of excite, you meet a lot of people, you go through this, great introduction process, and all these workshops. And so when you finally get sent to your city, you're kind of all excited about where you're gonna live and what school you're gonna go to and all that stuff. And as soon as my teacher picked me up, she was just kind of like, well, this wasn't a job, this is something I didn't ask for. I didn't ask to be your co-teacher, and this is, was it compulsory? And she was just like, and you live in this area that is not a very good area. Um, and it was just
Wow,
going on
nice.
and on, and I was like, wow. So when I finally got to my apartment, I was just already in shell shock, and then the teacher before me, she was just kind of like running through everything because she was trying to catch her plane. So she was like, okay, well, this is the code for the apartment, you do it like this, da, 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 da. Okay, and now here's this, and this is how you operate this, and she was just like flying through everything. And she left some stuff behind to be helpful, but at the same time, it was just, I think with everything going so quickly, and then my teacher leaving me for like the whole weekend alone, I was just like, I don't know what to do. And
Nice.
it was just one of those moments in Korea that I definitely remember. I just wanted to leave. I was contemplating leaving right then and there. I was like thinking of all these options. But
How did you like that's how everything started for you though, right? Like the whole Girl Traveler thing, or
well, Girl Traveler actually started when I was traveling with some friends to India, and this is like my first time. This is like my second sort of developing country, and I was very excited because I'd always wanted to go to India. I was going with this group, some friends, and somehow we got into this scam tour, and it wasn't my idea of wanting to. I didn't want to be on a tour going through India, like seeing everything fly by me in a car. So I told my friends that I wanted to get off, and they're like, well, if you want to get off, go ahead, you negotiate it, but we're going to stay on it. And at that point, it was either continue the rest of my trip not really caring for it, or just cutting loose and trying it on my own. And so I just did that. And that was my first time flying solo.
oh, so you broke away from the group?
Yeah, I did. But it
Wow.
wasn't. I didn't expect to do that. It wasn't like
Right.
the plan. The plan was to stick with the group, and I didn't want to be solo. Especially with India, because it felt like a very challenging country for me. There's just so much chaos going on there. There's
Yeah.
the rickshaws and bikes and pedestrians, and everyone's crisscrossing, and you know, then there's poverty, and it's a lot to digest. And I think most travelers feel a little overwhelmed at the very beginning when they step off the plane. Um, So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty
wasn't the plan.
hardcore, actually. I mean, you would, that's a tough way to get started. Usually people are like, I think I'll go to like Japan or something, that's nice and easy and everything's laid
Yeah,
out.
oh, go to Canada or Thailand.
Yeah, something that, but to get dropped off in the middle of India, with nobody knows anything about it really. That's pretty
Yeah,
hardcore.
so that was it. It was just like digging my heels in and saying, okay, I'm gonna make this work, you
And
know.
then what happened? Like, how far or how soon after that did you say, all right, I want to look for a way to? How did you stumble upon teaching in Korea?
I think like the story you're telling me, it was around like 2008, 2009, and I was working in the entertainment industry, working in television production, and around that time, the economy just sank in the U.S. And things got really slow, work got slow, and I was just tired of spending every day like knocking on doors or, feeling like I was hitting my head against a brick wall. I mean, there's better things you could do with your time. Um, and so I just thought to myself, well, I wanted to live abroad. Why not take this time to find a way to do that? And so I researched all my options. At first, I was going to try and do it through production, like video production. I couldn't find any avenues there and ended up teaching. And Korea was excellent because they had this fantastic package at the time where they fly you out, they put you up in an apartment, you know, all the perks.
Yeah.
And the culture is wonderful, the food is great, you know.
How long were you in Korea for, total?
For a year, a little over a year, because I came back after, well, when my contract ended, I decided to take like a backpacking trip. Didn't know how long I was going to be out, just kind of winged it because I didn't have time to plan anything. But at that point, I was starting to get a little more comfortable with winging my travels. It was just that, like when you have to pack up, you're moving countries again. It's a lot of things to take care of, and what was it, like taxes, like Korean taxes and all that stuff you have to go through, closing accounts. So I was just so busy there, I didn't have time to figure out where I was gonna jump to. I just knew that the first country I was gonna go to was India again, to get like certified for yoga, and that's all I kind of knew that I was gonna do.
And did you get certified?
I did. I spent a month doing an intensive, I guess, what's it called? Like an intensive program to get certified for teaching yoga.
I see. Now, when you were actually in Korea, did you get to travel, or did you just say, "Hey, I'm in Korea. This is travel," and just kind of do the contract, and then,
Well,
or
I
did you
think
have a chance to get out?
because I didn't like Daegu. I mean, there's always pros and cons to the situation that you're in. I could have lived in Seoul, and I probably wouldn't want to have traveled that much because Seoul is a great city. But I was in Daegu, and I was like, what do you do in Daegu? And I wasn't liking my situation at the time, and so every weekend, I'd find different places to go to and explore.
In Korea.
Because, yeah. So I'd use my weekends. For the most part, a lot of weekends I did spend exploring, because that's also why I was there, to see Korea and make the most of my time. And so that's what I did.
Mm.
And that's how the blog expanded some more. And I think it took on its own thing too, because when I was there was very little English support. Like the websites, like Cobus and Corel and stuff like that. It was really difficult to figure out how to get around. So whenever I went somewhere, I tried to leave some cookie crumbs behind or blog a little bit, just to offer support to someone else who was gonna, go to a similar
Take
place.
the plunge.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to come back to Korea? I mean, I know that you had mentioned it before, that possibly coming back to Korea, or how did you enjoy that 1 year that you were, all in all, that you were here?
It was like up and down the roller, because you go through a culture shock. You don't think you're gonna go through culture shock, but you do. that's because you're far from home, everything's new, everything's foreign. So I rode that roller coaster, and I think there's a lot of people in my group that year that kind of rode that roller coaster too. There are highs, we loved it. There are times we hated it, loved it again. And only towards the end did I really start to get the hang of it and start to appreciate it so much more. So when my contract was up, I knew I wanted to travel and take that time to kind of explore. But I definitely considered coming back to teach because I liked it. And yeah, I did go through, applying for university. I did end up declining an offer to teach at a local university in Daegu, which is a really good university, and they were going to. I know they were going to actually let me teach what I love, which is like media arts and stuff and video and. But
so what? So I don't think I ever. I mean, I don't think I ever asked you or whatever. But why? Why did you? Why did you not take it?
Because when I came home,
should we not talk about that?
No, well, I had this feeling, like I kind of had this feeling that I would want to come back for acting, and when I came home, yeah, there was a role that I was up for, Hawaii 5-0, and I was already, when I was living in New York, I was pursuing acting on the side, and that was one of my other goals that I always kind of wanted to follow. So when I came back home and that came up, then I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this some more. So it became like this push and pull of, I love Korea, I want to go back. There's so many opportunities. Here's a great opportunity. And then there's like, well, I never really fulfilled this dream either. So it's kind of a toss-up. And I still consider Korea. It's just that at the same time, I'm getting older. I'm not sure yet how confident I feel taking more time away from restarting my life or career back in the U.S. I don't know what the possibilities are yet. So
by and large, I mean, your heart is probably you prefer going down the road of acting and staying in that, or like the production.
Right now, I'm just throwing everything up in the air. And seeing which is gonna come or fall.
I see.
But I haven't applied for Korea within several months now.
Is Korea one of your options, or?
It was for a long time, and even at the start of this year, it was an option. That, and I was also looking at Japan. Even went through that interview process. But at the same time, I feel like Korea is getting a lot more competitive too.
It is. And
but it's like how you're very confident that by taking your certifications that you're going to continue teaching and you can just bounce from country to country and country, right?
That's the plan. I don't know if it'll play out that way, but
well, we never know how it's going to turn out, but we try it. Right. And if you believe in it, I think if you have confidence in yourself, then it will turn out. So
yeah, I mean, now that I've got some experience to actually put on paper, 3 years of experience, and a certification.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what any of the gigs will ask for. They'll usually ask 2 to 3, sometimes 4 years to get a decent job, and then getting my teacher certification, and I also got TESOL certified and Business English certified along the way. I just said, hey, look, I mean, the past year and a half.
You're going the whole gamut, and that's totally cool.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, probably a little different than you. I was said, you know what? If I really want to put the nail in the coffin for my other past career, IT, I really gotta go balls to the walls here. And if I have to sacrifice my life for the next year and a half, that's what I'll do, and that's what I did. So, past year or so, I've been just kind of like a ghost, no one knows where Tom is, except for doing a couple of videos and stuff like that. But you know, the stuff is out there, and you know, is it getting more I think it's getting more competitive around the world. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in Korea, it's getting more competitive in Epic uh, because there's a lot less jobs. There's like a third of the jobs that there used to be, and even those are going away because you know the current administration in Korea in office is not really pro-English, so they're hoping that when the current president leaves, things will turn around. But right now, the jobs have dwindled drastically, and then on top of it, they're saying, well, if we have a lot less jobs and more applicants, then let's make it tougher, you know, because we want to make sure that we get good people in here. So it is getting a little tougher that way. You know, they want a TESOL certification, sometimes experience, or one or the other, or a combination of both. But there's always, you know, there's always the Hagwon route and all that, but I don't know how you feel about
That's
that.
like,
Yeah,
feels like a gamble sometimes
it
with
is.
the Hagwons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
what's I gonna say? I can't remember.
You're from Hawaii originally?
Mm-hmm. Born and raised. Yes.
Born and raised in Hawaii, and Hawaii's kind of like one of those places where if you say I'm Hawaiian, that doesn't necessarily say, you know, what your background might be. You know, maybe a lot of people are Samoan by nature, but you are. What's your background?
I'm a little over half Japanese, Hawaiian, German, Chinese. But yes, there is a distinct like race called Hawaiian, and you know they're a little more Polynesian looking, bigger boned. I probably am a very bad example of a Hawaiian because I don't really look it that much. My sister's a little stronger. She pulls a little stronger to that, and my cousins do too. Like you would not be able to you would not think that we're related at all.
Really?
And darkish skinned also.
Oh, okay. Now is Hawaiian and Samoan, is that interchangeable or how does that work?
Well, they're two separate races or ethnicities, but they're kind of similar in, I guess, physiognomy or in appearance. Yeah, they kind of have similar features.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that's kind of like more of a Hawaiian than you know a person that's from Hawaii, because a person from Hawaii could be like Japanese or Chinese or you know whatnot.
A whole mix of things.
Yeah, the Hawaiian is Hawaiian.
Now you only spent. I'm just going to throw this out. You only spent a year in Korea. What was it like to be the ethnic mix that you were in Korea? You know, there's always this talk out there, and I did a couple videos on it. Was it ever? No, I don't want to say issue, but did it ever present itself in any topic?
Well, it did. And I remember commenting on your video about that because, I mean, I felt like I experienced that to a slight degree. I was aware of it. It's not like it was, you know, it wasn't as bad as the United States. Like, I'm obviously a minority in the United States, and I feel like a minority. Whereas in Korea, if you're Asian, then I feel like there's a tendency for them to either think that you're one of them, like you're Korean, and Koreans don't always treat Koreans very well.
That's true.
You know? Yeah. So like when I would be like friend with my other friends, my epic friends, people, and they'd be like acting loud or whatnot, Koreans would turn to me and they would scold me. So.
Wow.
So initially I was trying to learn Korean. But once I started getting all this heat for being Asian and looking Korean, then I started to kind of slide on my Korean class lessons.
Really?
and being a little more like pronouncing it in a really bad way so that people would know that I was foreign.
Yep. Give them a signal. Yep. Better back off.
Totally acted it out. But you know, I'm still learning Korean, and I've been learning Korean even though, you know, like even if I'm in Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, I have been.
Oh my
Don't
God,
test me.
make me feel
Test me
worse
though.
about myself.
Why have you been taking classes at all?
No, I'm in Korea and I haven't learned anything.
Oh my gosh. Well, how much Korean do you know? Because you're a Korean or part Korean.
It's such a bad topic.
Oh, that much, right?
I don't know any. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it.
You're a
I don't know any.
banana. No kidding.
I don't know any. And then I took
That's
what?
so bad.
I know it is. Well, I have to take issue with my mother on that one because she never taught me any. But I
Okay,
came
that's true.
here and in Busan they give you free classes, and so I took one 10-week block, but I just didn't stick with it. Well, I went down the road of doing all the certifications instead. Otherwise, I would have stuck with it.
Excuses, excuses.
I know. I always hear about it, but now that you're not even in Korea and you're studying, I could be studying now. But now it's like I don't know. Maybe what is it? In February is when that contract extension is up. I'm going to be the next 6 months. I'm going to be finding out. I'm going to find out if these certifications do anything or if it was just a big waste of money. So I'm going to look around for some other stuff.
I think it's a good investment. I think if you want to continue living abroad and working abroad, then that's just a really wise. That's like the best kind of passport you can have, is to get certified and take your TESOL and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. Especially the teacher certification. Licensed teacher. A buddy of mine that was here, he's my age, so it was like one of my only friends. Because it's kind of tough to find people your age. But he left, and now he's in Thailand. He's got his PCGE, which is a licensed teacher type of thing. And so, and that's an option as well. Did you ever think about teaching in Thailand or anything like that, or Southeast Asia?
I've considered it because I like Thailand a whole lot, and I would love to live there at
Yeah, I was
some
going to
point in
say
my
because
life.
so much of your material is Burma, Myanmar, that whole region of the world, Southeast Asia, India.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It would be good to
Yeah,
teach there. It'd be so easy.
I know. I just have a hard time with the salary,
Hmm.
which I mean, I guess it's because as a 40-year-old, I'm still kind of weighing out how I'm going to survive if I ever have to come back to the United States. So for
Right.
me, I do have that idea of a safety net of what happens when I have to come back.
Right.
Um, so I think when I look at those kind of things, I do look at salary. I'm like, well, can I save money to eventually come back home, or am I just gonna have to live there? And there's nothing wrong with living there, but I think that's just always going to be like my Western fear behind me.
No, I hear you. I hear that. And hey, it's a risk. I mean,
It
um,
is. It is.
I looked at my own situation and I was like, well, you either kind of feel it out, or this is my specific cases, or you really do it like there is no other option, like as if
Exactly.
IT is saying to you, we don't ever want you to come and work in this industry again. So I said, all right, well, I've got savings back home, I got my investment accounts, I got a condo and stuff like that. So I need to remember that kind of stuff, like if I go to Thailand, if I ever went there, which is like, there are times when I need to cover expenses. But that was the whole idea of getting the certification, which is, look, if you really want a shot, if you
Hmm.
take Thailand or Southeast Asia, for example,
Yeah.
most of them, although things are on ajarn.com, there's
Okay.
a lot of hubbub going on right now about these traveler visas, people who do that to go teach English in Thailand, but they don't even have a bachelor's degree or anything like that. Well, apparently they had been talking about clamping down on that for years, and now the clamp is coming down, so they're kicking everybody out.
But I thought with Thailand you needed at least a TESOL. I thought you
You,
had to be certified for Thailand to a degree, unless you did it like really under the table kind of.
there's probably some under the table, and you probably did need a TESOL, but that's the whole thing, you know. I mean, even getting a TESOL certification is a humongous gray area, because like if you go with a reputable firm that has in-class certification, I mean, you're going to be doing a real course there for like, I don't know, 12 weeks, or I don't know how long it takes. As opposed to doing it online, you just don't know what that company is putting together for its material. So you can get a certification anywhere. But I think what they're clamping down on is the whole bachelor's degree thing. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, you got to hit the bricks. So, you know, I bring that up just because, you know, that means that a lot of people are probably going to need to go away, and maybe it shows a tendency for Thailand maybe to look for more qualified teachers, which will generally, over time, maybe push up the salaries. But, you know, there's people, my friend that I was just telling you about, that went to Thailand. He's in Bangkok. Well, the salaries that you normally see for Thailand, he's way beyond that. But he's, you know,
Really?
he's got his, yeah, he's way beyond that, and he only had like a year experience of teaching here in Korea, and he's 40 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he
Does he
went
have a
home.
blog?
He does not have a blog. He's one of those low-key dudes, you know, keeping everything on a DL. But he did go home. He left Korea for a year to go home, and I keep looking at my computer. It's very impersonal. I'm going to look at the camera.
Well,
And
it's hard because I'm trying to look at you, but at the same time I'm trying to look at the camera too.
it's like, what are you looking at over there? He went home. He's from South Africa, so he gets the PCGE, which is the British version of it. So he went home and sacrificed and got that and an in-class TESOL. So this was a long story that we just took here, but the whole thing of going to places like Southeast Asia, those certifications are going to come in handy. So maybe that could be something that you could look at. You know, I did mine online, the whole course for getting your license, but then you have to sit for 3 state exams, at least in my state. So I had to fly back for those, but maybe that's something that you could consider, which would really open up a lot of doors to higher paying jobs. That would change your whole...
Getting a TESOL, or?
Not a TESOL, but actually become a licensed teacher for public school in, say, Hawaii or something like that. And that'll open up doors. You know, this is just something, this is just another option. But what it would do is it would open up doors to jobs that you might just look past now, because you might just say, I'm not licensed, I don't have this, I don't have that. But then they become a reality, and it might change your perspective on your future, if travel and teaching is something like that.
I think so. At the same time, like, I think even when I was in Korea, I mean, while I was loving it, I still always missed my old life. Like, I did miss being in video production a lot. And so that was always in the back of my head. It's like that whole, do I want to live abroad and experience this constant ongoing travel life, or do I want to come back home and kind of like have a career that I still really loved? Like, I think we're a little different in the sense of when I left my life, I loved what I was doing. Like, I loved being in TV. I loved creating TV and being paid to be creative. And I got to travel through it and travel a lot. So it was feeding all of the juices that I really, you know, loved. Yeah. It's just that when the economy hit, it felt like death as well. So that was kind of like, okay, I'm going to bow out right now and follow the next dream that I have. So when I was in Korea, I was already kind of like feeling conflicted with the two. I kind of wanted to come back home, but I kind of wanted to stay. And so the struggle or the tug of war continues on. I mean, even to this day, like, I'm still here I have to survive and, get jobs on the side, but I'm still trying to, have a hand in video production or television production while I'm also, trying to develop acting and stuff like that.
Mm.
So it's a lot of things are in the air right now. I even applied to be an airlines attendant, a flight attendant, and
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm just looking at all the options. I want a travel job. That's it.
I was gonna say that was such a great idea for you. I mean, if you could ever snag something in that.
Yeah, so for me, it's like looking at the possibilities of what I love doing in my life. I like being creative. I want to travel more. I want a stable job. Um, so I'm trying to look at all the options around that and see what fits because I like them all. It's a matter of how to balance everything that I love in a life. So while I look at Korea, I'm just like, well, I love Korea, but can I do video production there?
Right.
I can do my YouTube channel, but I can't necessarily work on all these other exciting projects,
Mm.
or I can't get into acting there. It's just all of a toss-up right now,
Right.
I think. So I did put it I did answer an ad to do a program for, I think, a Tesla, actually. And it was a good deal. It was like a few months, and you take it in Cambodia and Thailand, something like that. And so that was in the mix, too. It's just a matter of timing, and we'll see. I'm just kind of like going with the flow and trying to take one step in front of the other and see which kind of feels right and will fit right.
Yeah. Now, what countries have you been to?
Um, I think a lot of Southeast Asia. Asia. I haven't been to like Taiwan or Singapore yet. I've been to Morocco and then a whole bunch of Europe. So I still have quite a few countries to go through. I've been through a lot of the United States. I mean, working in reality television, we get sent out to many different places.
All right. Now,
So,
in Southeast Asia, you've been to Thailand. Where else?
Thailand, Burma, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, what else is there? Vietnam, Bali, Malaysia.
Wow, so you've been to a lot of places.
Yeah, well, because on my vacations, then
Mm.
I decided to use that as, like to travel. So I was traveling Korea on the weekends, and when I had my vacation, I was just like hitting all these different places. So you're not traveling as much during vacations, I notice.
Yeah, not recently. I went to Seoul, which is not technically traveling because I'm still in Korea. But
Uh-huh.
I went to Seoul twice this year.
I saw
Uh,
that. I saw the DMV thing, and I was like, "Whoa, good for you."
yeah, I had to do that before I left. And when I was in college, I had a couple roommates. I went to the University of New Hampshire, and I was living in the dorms, and there's probably like 8 Koreans on campus. It's like 15,000 students, and somehow I sat next to this.
Wow, eight
I
Koreans.
Yeah, there wasn't many because New Hampshire. And I sat next to this kid. I was a pre-med major when I first got started, and this one Korean kid. Now he is a brain surgeon now as a professor at Johns Hopkins University. So he went on to do kind of good.
That's not too shabby.
Yeah, well, he's definitely one of the smartest guys I've ever met. But I'm
Uh-huh.
sitting next to this guy, and I'm like, this guy is from outer space because I don't know how he memorized it. I don't know how he's doing what he's doing. But he introduces me to these Korean friends of his that are living on campus,
Uh-huh.
and they were Korean, and I'm like, all right, yeah, because I want to live off campus my senior year. So I did, and um, it was a guy and a girl. They were girlfriend boyfriend at the time. He was from Seoul, and she is now teaching also in the Middle East with her now husband and children. But I went to Seoul to visit him and another Korean guy that used to come by every once in a while who was an exchange student at the UNH up in Seoul. They're still friends. It's like, wow, man, it's kind of strange. But so I didn't really leave the country other than I went to Jeju. But in about 2 weeks, I'm going to be going to Osaka.
Oh, why Osaka?
Um, I, I don't really know exactly what my future holds for what's that?
No, because usually the common route from Korea is from Seoul or Busan to Fukuoka, and you have to pay a little extra to go to Tokyo. So I'm just like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
Osaka's like right in between. I mean, Osaka's a great place. I've only spent a day there though.
Well, I went to Tokyo early on for like after I think it was during my winter vacation, my first year here, and and then I went to Thailand at one time, Seoul a few times, Jeju. The thing about Osaka is people always talk about Osaka, and it's such a quick flight, but also there's one of the headquarters for the sport of judo is located in Osaka, and I'm going to go by and take a little
That's
photo.
it. It's the judo thing.
It's always a judo thing. But it was.
So you travel for judo then? That's your thing.
Um, not really. Okay, maybe I don't purpose it to be that way. I went to Jeju for judo because they had a big international tournament there. All these different countries were there. But
And then why did you go to Thailand? Was that for like Muay Thai?
no, but I did go to the fights at Rajadamnern Stadium. But I went there just because I wanted to go. I just wanted to go visit Thailand, Bangkok. It's just such a polar opposite experience to living in Korea. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
It totally
A lot
is.
more laid back.
Yeah, just everything, just look and feel, and it's the feel, it's the look and feel. I mean, it's just a totally different experience.
Yeah.
I don't go to China because if you're an American and you want to travel to China, they charge you 3, 4, 5 times the price for the travel visa than any other country in the world. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's the price of my plane ticket.
I know. I can't, and that's part of the reason why I've held off on China too. Is just because of the cost of the visa and the difficulty of getting it, especially if you're doing it from the States, though. But recently, I found out from another travel blogger that Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, I'm pronouncing that wrong, but they opened up. There's no visa.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I've always wanted to go to Kazakhstan, and that's sort of off by China. So.
Yeah, it is. It is. Actually, Kazakhstan is kind of Mongolia-ish in a way. You would think you're thinking, oh, it's near Russia and everything, but you go there and people actually look more Asian than
yeah. Well, they've got that beautiful combination of Asian, Russian.
Russian.
It's like a nice hybrid. Yeah, they're beautiful people.
Recently, I just read on. I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. I just read on CNN that there's this Kazakhstan, the girls' national volleyball team there. One of the girls is getting so much attention from the media and the fans that it's making everybody on the team and the coach upset, because it's distracting them from their play. So apparently it is a good combination.
Wait, the volleyball team for Kazakhstan? Or
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Kazakhstan is also very good at judo, so maybe I'll look into that. And Kazakhstan, just so you know, if you go to Teach Away, if you were a licensed teacher,
that's the agency I went through actually.
Okay, they're very reputable, very reputable. They're very difficult to get jobs with sometimes because they're really looking for good people. But if you were a licensed teacher, if you go to Kazakhstan, they have these programs in there for highly qualified teachers, but they'll pay you $4,000 or $5,000 a month US dollars, no expenses. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you think you could live there?
I don't know, but for 2 years, for that kind of, I mean, I might end up going. You got see here. I would try to get in there. It's very difficult. Don't get when I say difficult, I mean they're looking for, like, if they say an English teacher, you have to be an English teacher, right? You have to like go to school. You have to have a degree in English. You have to have been teaching English. None of this ESL offshoot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're dishing out some serious coin there, tax-free, and they pay for everything, including your utilities.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's a good deal then.
And Kazakhstan has one of the best judo programs in the world.
Well, then you'd be right at home.
I would be right at home, and I probably look more like a Kazakhstani than I would an actual Korean, just because of the mixture and my huge jaw and all that. I'm just saying.
You blend.
They'd be like,
Let's hope
you're
they treat their own.
Kazakhstan.
Let's hope they treat their own well.
Yeah, they bring in a judo mat and beat you up. They're like, you must be Kazakhstan. I will beat you up on the judo mat.
Well,
like,
then
hey, welcome in, brother.
So do you have, when you're thinking about countries that you might potentially want to live in, even when you decided on Korea, did you have any what are some of your reservations? Like for me, when I think of different countries that I could live in, I do think of maybe the quality of life that I'd be living and whether or not I can eat there, because I'm mostly vegetarian. So
right.
Yeah, like Kazakhstan, although the pay looks great and I would love to visit there, I don't know. Yeah, I think the food thing would kind of stand in my way for a while.
Yeah, but you can always just go out onto one. They have these broad sweeping pastures, and you can just go out there and catch your own prey and feast every night in Kazakhstan, I would assume.
I'm not a meat eater though. That would mean I'd have to like grow my own like corn and stuff like that. And I don't think I have enough time for that, Tom.
There you go. All right. Well, I gave you an option there on the food.
Okay.
Okay. That would that would be a thing for me. What do I look for? It's a combination. The stability thing, which is why I kind of tend to look at public schools. Oh. So the whole thing with China is I'm starting to get a feel that, wow, it's really difficult to know what you're getting into. It's like most of them are international schools or academies and stuff like that, and it's like, it feels kind of like the wild, wild west out there. I don't want to get stuck out there. I think if I was 25 years old, it'd be totally different. I'd be like, yeah, this is fun. I'll this is an experience. But
mm-hmm.
If I were to go to China or something like that, it would have to be some type of researchable international school that people talk about online. I can get some feedback on it. Or same thing with Thailand. But otherwise, Hong Kong public school, Singapore public school. I would go to Japan. One of the, similar to you, is I kind of look at things like the finances and all. I have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am older than you.
No, I think I'm older than you.
No, I know that for a fact. And you claim that you're 40 years old. And
no, I don't claim. I just said I'm 40-ish.
Oh, 40-ish. I didn't think that you were. I didn't think that you were at that age. You look much younger.
Yeah.
How has that affected your? Because like your girl traveler thing, the whole thing is being a solo person, but a girl, doing it as a female, which can be a lot more. Because guys can bang their head against the wall and just be like, "Oh, that was fun, actually," and it's a little different, and how to brave it and the things to look for. It seems. How has that impacted, like being, what you claim to be 40 years old, and how has that impacted your experience and stuff like that?
You mean being a solo traveler? Or
yeah, does it make a difference, or like
You
You
mean
know,
being like in my 40s and being a solo, like does being in my 40s make a difference for solo travel, or
either,
does solo travel make a difference in being 40?
either one. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, like so for instance, when you're like fresh out of college, one of the things that we've emailed about is like, I got to keep this in mind. I got to keep this in mind. When you're fresh out of college, you're like, I'll eat grass or like I'll eat beans from the 7-Eleven. It's okay by me, but for me, I need to have a Costco. You said you need to have a Costco.
That's actually, yeah, that was something I did look for, and I'm glad Korea had it. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's really impacted my life. I think if anything, well, I know solo travel itself has made me feel a lot more confident about my life and more certain of myself. Like, you know how I'm talking about being 40 and you have all these concerns, like we have Western concerns, right? Like we're concerned about a career, or can we live in the U.S. or live abroad, stuff like that. If you're not feeling certain in yourself, then life is a gamble. But it's like what you've said, you know, if you stick to it and you go towards what you want and you take out all of the other options and you say this is the only option there is, this is like do or die, this is like me, my last breath, you raise your stakes that far, then I think there's more of a propensity for you to get that dream that you want. And as I'm going through travels on my own, I mean, obviously I'm going through my own anxieties and worries and fears of traveling in a foreign environment where I don't know things. When I can figure those things out on the road and feel like I have some kind of control in my life, I realize that, hey, I can do it. And that makes me feel more certain of myself.
Right.
And that impacts everything around me in my life of, okay, you know what, I'm going to remove all the options and I'm going to go for it. I mean, right now I have many options up in the air, but at the same time, um, they're kind of like pie in the sky options to some degree, you know, and I just treat all of them like it's my last breath, and I need to have it, and there is nothing else. So therefore, I'm going to get it no matter what.
If you
I
could,
mean,
if you could draw your future life right
mhm.
now, and put your personal worries aside, oh, I got, finances or retirement, or if you could
Like if
draw,
money weren't an option,
yeah, I guess, uh,
or if it weren't a worry or concern, if money weren't a
yeah,
concern, then what would I do?
not with the current concerns that you have now, but keeping it in mind. But like, if you could draw your future life, where would you be? What would you be doing with? What would you be doing? Would it include Girl Traveler website and all that?
But yeah, because I mean, I obviously Girl Traveler is a big part of me now. It was a big part of me then. I don't know who came first, Girl Traveler or me. Um, like my blog or me. At this point, they both kind of merge, and I feel the GRRRL in my life or my travels. Um, so I'd still be doing that. Um, but I think I would be traveling more. I'd probably be living abroad for a couple of months and then coming home. Like my ideal situation is to live abroad for half the year and come home for half the year and work and create television shows or stuff like that to pursue things that I want to do here in the United States. Like have a career in television, be an actress, stuff like that. While also
What is
living
it about?
abroad. So it's kind of like that's why I straddle right now. Is I'm trying to get the best of both worlds, but I'm not sure how to do that yet. I'll figure it out, but don't know. But what were you gonna say?
Well, you're getting into the YouTube game, and the whole creative part of production or television that attracts you. Is that something that you could transition into YouTube and take it on the road? I mean, like do your own like Mark Wiens style stuff, or I mean, is that in? you know, would you ever take that leap and try to do that?
Like migrationology. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing awesome. Actually, I totally admire him for his choices and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's doing a
Um,
show now. Did you see that?
yeah, he's doing his own documentary, like a TV show, like a
Yeah.
Thai food show, and I think that's great.
Yeah, he's got a great
Um,
thing going on.
yeah, but you know, like I could always see that in his videos. Like I knew it was just a matter of time with him, Mark Wiens, I think. Um, but I think for me, now the YouTube channel thing was interesting because I'd always wanted to do my own travel show, whether I was going to shoot it or act in it or whatever. I always wanted to do my own travel show, but I never wanted to be my own crew. So I waited for a while. You know how we wait for perfect situations. I was like, okay, let me
Right.
put it out to the universe. I want a crew that will shoot me, or I want to be part of a crew that's going to travel and shoot, you know, these shows. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and nothing came. And I think it took me coming to Hawaii and finding a lack of resources. Like Hawaii is not a big television state, and they're very low. There's hardly any work for reality shows and stuff like that, or docu-reality shows. So that was one thing. I was just like, I'm not making TV, and this is driving me kind of nuts right now because I love it. At the same time, on the acting fence, there's not many opportunities for acting. And so I think the limited amount of opportunities just kind of pushed me to say, you know what, well, I'm going to kill two birds with one stone, and I'm going to create my own show. And that's where I pulled out all the stops, or, you know, my own YouTube channel, and it became its own thing. It was just kind of because I was starved to do these other things. And I wanted to exercise them and keep them handy and enjoy them. And it's a lot of work. I mean, I never wanted to be my own crew, but now I'm my own crew and my own editor when I'm, you know, editing my videos and stuff.
Right. You know, that's what Mark. I mean, if you take a guy like Mark or any of us, any of us that do the YouTube stuff. I mean, every once in a while, you might have help, but otherwise, Mark's got his wife there that holds the camera for him. But that's it. You know, he doesn't have a crew or anything like that, and
yeah, and he's juggling a blog too, and actually two, I think, two blogs.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and
But
he's
I mean,
writing books and all that stuff.
yeah, no, he definitely took that's his whole job there, you know. And, you know, but I was just thinking maybe that would be up your alley a little bit with combining all that stuff together. Is that something that you could ever see yourself doing, or?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the path that I've been doing, is kind of like feeling out YouTube and, you know, trying to figure out what kind of content to create for my channel. Seeing what people are interested in also, because of course I want it to be purposeful. So I think that's where I'm kind of sitting on the fence. I'm like, I don't know what people want right now.
Right.
You know, and it's hard to feel that out. Like, you're doing amazing, and I'm still kind of, I guess, kind of still starting out in that sense.
Right.
So I can't, but I have thought of like, okay, well maybe I can, you know, pitch it, or, you know, pitch it to a show or whatnot. And, you know, like right now I think there are opportunities that I am kind of trying for. Like, you saw my profile page already. But yeah, like, yeah, in terms of, I'm trying to walk that line towards travel videos a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You know, it just really helps. I think it helps. I think if I were back home, I'd lose half of the ideas that I'd ever want to blog about. So it's just tough, you know. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of torn between what direction you want to go overall. But like sometimes sometimes it seems like you're kind of torn overall. Like, do you want to go acting and all that, or do you want to go full time with the blogging or stuff like that?
Well, I'm already full time with the blogging. I mean, I'm doing that and juggling everything else. Because I do want to develop the blog, so that's been kind of like my racehorse at the moment.
And you're starting to do some of the hotels. I saw that. in
Some of
LA,
the hotels.
or not
Okay.
hotels. What was it again? It was the recent one that you just did, interesting places in LA or something like that.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
So you're getting
Well,
more into
see,
that kind of stuff,
like what?
like getting into more domestic, I guess you could say. Wait, you're in Hawaii, but like
Well,
more
I have to
stuff at
cover
home in
whatever,
Hawaii.
wherever I travel, right?
All right.
So and that's the pressure too. I think with a travel blogger or like a travel vlogger, you do kind of feel like, well, I have to keep feeding my audience and my readers with, things that are going to excite them or inspire them, or make them want to travel to places. And living in the United States and being in Hawaii, where, gosh, the cost of flying outside the island is just like, ugh, is crazy expensive. It kind of does put pressure on me to want to have a travel job that is like an actual job. So while I'm travel blogging full time and doing my YouTube videos, I am still focused on getting something that can afford me, you know, travel. I think a lot of people, there's some um, sentiments now that maybe travel blogging can help fund your travel life. And yeah, if you live in a country where the economy, like the cost of living is really low, yeah, maybe it can. And maybe if you gain a lot of followers and do a lot of ebooks and sell things on the side, then that's possible. But travel blogging is a lot of work, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into it. That you don't make a whole ton of money like that. It's
Right.
just a lot of work. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like my labor of love at the moment. So I need something else to kind of like feed it along.
Right. Well, that flight attendant thing would be such a great inline thing to be able to take you to all the different places that you want to go to.
Yeah, it would be interesting, I think. I'm not sure what the schedules are like with flight attendants, but I'm open to the possibility, you know. And I think as long as everything kind of helps me align all these goals that I have, then that'll be perfect. For
Mm.
me, it's more like finding travel jobs. So even though I blog on the side or I blog full time, it's still me trying to find a travel job,
Mm.
because I still feel like for me personally, I need that kind of stable income. Like, you know how with your teaching, you have that stable resource,
Right.
where the
Yeah.
money is coming in and you can afford to do things. I kind of, yeah,
Right.
I'm kind of doing it like both of these things at the same time.
Yeah. And
So we'll
we were
see. What?
well. I was saying because we brought up Mark, and that's or any travel blogger, that's their full-time gig. I mean, they have to really work hard at it. Like you said, it's a full-time job, and he probably works
It
harder than I.
is.
He probably puts in more work each day than I do with teaching and everything combined. So it
Well,
does.
see,
It's a lot of work.
and that's it. Like people, like I think people just think I pop out a post, but I take a long time writing my stuff and editing my videos as well. It doesn't take a day. It takes like a week and longer. And
Mm.
on top of that, there's social media and having to push promote your content, because if you can't promote your content, well, you can't get readers, and if you can't get readers, then you can't get opportunities. So I would say it's actually worse than a full-time job.
Yeah.
I can work through it. If I'm not careful with my schedule, I can work from morning till the next morning again.
Wow.
So it's a lot of work. I mean, just even answering emails or answering comments to people, it's, yeah, a lot of work. And there's pressures too. I think there's pressures that travel bloggers feel these days to perform, to engage their readers a little bit more, so that there's more dialogue and stuff like that. It's kind of
Right.
stressful sometimes.
So competitive too. I mean, because everybody's got a blog now. Everyone's trying to vie for that space.
Oh, that's true, but at the same time, there's so many different niches too. You've got couples travel, you've got family travelers, you've got solo travelers. And everyone has their own kind of content that they offer, you know, or tips or advice, or maybe they've got a different kind of lifestyle, like an expat lifestyle or whatnot. So I think, I mean, there is kind of competition to a degree, and sometimes there can be a little cattiness with the community, but
yeah.
I still think that there's a ton of niches out there to be filled.
Yeah.
You know.
Same thing in YouTube. You know, it can be fickle sometimes. You know, in a funny way. I've learned a lot over the past couple of years. It's probably very similar with blogging.
Yeah, but I feel like if you put in your time, I mean, something comes from it. So like for me, you know, like obviously the travel videos are doing a little better, and they've been seen, and it's been allowing me a little bit of opportunities here and there. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to talk about. You know, it's funny, the name, the title of this of this hangout. You know, I got some people come on.
I don't think we're sexy at all, but
that's all right. And you know, some people were like, "Oh, you're being so you're so modest, Tom. You're so modest, Tom." So let me just say, yeah, it wasn't. That title was not about me. It was, you know.
It's about you too.
Is it about me?
Yeah, we're both 40s and single and sexy. Well, you know, I define sexy as people who are following their dreams and living what they want to, you know, pursuing what they want, you know, to make life kind of a sexy kind of thing.
All right,
versus
then call me
kind
sexy.
of like a boring thing. Yeah, I mean, you're following the dream and you're living it, and you're doing it at 40. I mean, when I was living in Korea, I was kind of afraid of my age and even popping it out because I felt like that would, you know, like Koreans would see that as kind of like, oh, she's old, you know, she's not good for the kids. But thankfully, I wasn't the oldest person there. I was just like the second oldest person.
In Epic, you mean?
Yeah, so you know, like when you came out and you're just kind of like, you know, I'm 40s and whatnot, I'm just like, oh my God, he's still making it happen and nothing's happening to him. They're not kind of like doing the Korean thing of, you know.
No, definitely not. I tell people my age all the time. I always throw it out there, you know. I mean, even today we had a big guessing game at camp for how old Tomas was. And you know.
Oh, I never told my kids.
No.
They're like, teacher, how old? How old? I was like, we're not playing that game.
They're always asking it. I mean, usually I'll tell them, I'll say, I'm 500 years old, but you know, a lot of them, they just kept asking, and then I would tell them that I'm 500 years old, and they like, all right, if you don't want to tell us, we'll just go ask the co-teacher. So they all ran over for days and were asking her to tell us. So I was like, all right, I'll tell them my age. I don't care. But I haven't had too much of an issue with it. I don't think I haven't, but I'm kind of, you know.
Well, do you feel like, okay, here's the question returned then. Do you feel like that's kind of, that people have picked on that or weeded that out? Do you feel like teachers that are older than 20s and 30s have a harder time getting picked up in Korea?
I think for certain Hagwons, maybe it would be an issue, but I'm talking like, I mean, you'd probably have to, I mean, you look very young for your age, so you know, it's, if you're older and you look older, you know, it might be a tough sell for some of these Hagwons because they're a business, they're trying to sell image and stuff like that. But I see jobs out there where they're like, you must be a minimum of 25 years old or something like that. Maybe in Korea, but in other countries I'll see that. And that's basically saying, we don't want any fresh out of college people. We want you to be at least 25 to show that you've worked somewhere. You had to have worked somewhere by 25 years old, you know. But for me, I'm just forward thinking. I mean, I'm actually this October. I'm going to be 42 actually. So I told you I was older than you. And I just look at it like,
No.
yeah, 42.
Okay,
And
okay, we'll go with that then.
and I'm just like, look, it is what it is. I spent many years in a different industry, so on the one hand, I I would have to say that I'd be being stupid if I said that it didn't put me at a disadvantage in certain cases, but I'll probably never know about them because I'll be turned down for a job and I'll never know the real reason why. But I also know that the more reputable a school gets, the more pressure they receive. Uh, they're gonna generally want to be like, we just want you to have the qualifications, and I just key in on that, and I'm like, all right, as long as my game is straight, then and I keep halfway decent care of myself. At the end of the day, whoever your supervisor is, all they're looking for is someone to make their life better at work. So that's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have no doubt that there'd be places that wouldn't hire me for certain reasons, maybe ethnicity purposes, for that whole
Mm-hmm.
topic here in Korea that I've talked about.
Yeah.
I don't think I, I don't know how widespread it is. Maybe age, but if you're professional and you really can sell yourself, I think you'd be all right. I just keep telling myself, and I do believe this. I do believe what I'm about to say. If you take those schools that are tough on the age topic and tough on the ethnicity topic, you put 10 of them in front of me. I really believe that if I had the chance to sit in front of them, that I could convert some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell myself that. And sooner or later, I'll just land something decent, whether it's here in Korea or Japan or Middle East or wherever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
and just take things there. That's how I look at it.
Because that's something that was sensitive to me, or that I felt kind of sensitive about in terms of the idea of, considering Korea again, was just, I wasn't sure. I mean, ethnicity is one thing, where I felt kind of like a little like it might be a little bit of a thing for them in terms of hiring, especially with Hagwons. But age was something I felt like that was maybe it's just because I heard rumors or whatnot about Asia and how they tend to like younger people, teachers. I know when I was looking for jobs, and this is before I hit Korea, I was looking at France because it's one of the places I've always wanted to live also.
Yeah.
But there was a cutoff date, and I really passed it. So I was like, oh, maybe a lot of the other European states would be the same things. Maybe they want someone like in their 20s and early 30s or something like that. But I know, yeah, I guess that's something for myself. And it's also because I think I come from like an entertainment industry where you are kind of judged on your age. A lot of people prefer young.
Sure.
Well, not prefer young, but I mean, even on the shooter end, or even on the production crew end, like I was working with a lot of MTV shows, and a lot of the crew was like in their 20s and 30s. Well, in their 20s mostly.
Yeah.
So when I was in my 30s, I was just like, wow, I don't know if I want to mention my age here, because I think, yeah,
Well,
that could just
it's
be me.
it's no. I mean, and you're in that in that arena where you're probably constantly dinged with it, like age this and age that, and appearance this
Yeah.
and appearance that. So it's probably a constant reminder for you. But for me, I've always, it isn't. I mean, obviously, a 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old, if they're both comparably, requirement-wise or experience-wise, which is probably kind of impossible. But probably the favor goes toward the younger person. Probably, maybe. I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt. But the mantra that I always tell myself is this: is your age, no matter what it is, always works to your favor, and I believe that because I may not be able to recognize it, but I think if I came to Korea when I was 25, it wouldn't have been what it's been now at 40. So and the reason is because even though I can't recognize it, I bring the experience of life here that I can weather certain things that I would not have weathered at 25, and people around you see that, and so I just keep. That's how I look at it with getting a job. At some point, the right gig is going to come along, and it's just going to fit. Just like in any other office job, corporate job, or anything like that. You work for some good people, some bad people, and then some of them really click. Same thing's going to happen here at some point. I don't know where that'll be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
see, I believe that to a degree. I believe that too. I believe that your age is always going to be an asset, but sometimes I also think that you have to make it work for you.
absolutely.
You have to find that golden nugget and push it up to the top, and take into account like the factors around you. I think with Korea, it was just bringing the youth and my experience to the table. So make it work for you. It works for you. You have to make it work for you too.
You do. You have to push everything. I mean,
yeah.
You have to push everything through. But I think that I don't think it would ever be an issue for you because you do look much younger, and you're also very attractive, and those are appealing points in jobs in general, I think. So I don't think it would ever be an issue here. Yeah. I mean, maybe it would, but just blow by those things. And there's so many things going on out there that.
With the collagen and the Botox.
Oh, no, not that type of thing. So many job things.
Wrinkles.
Oh, stop. I look at pictures of myself. The one thing about doing YouTube videos, is now 3 years on. And when I started, I had kind of a cruddy camera. Was not high def or anything like that. And I was like, all right, well, that is me, right? If you look at some of my first vlog videos, my whole face is dark because I'm sitting under this light.
Is this the ones you took away or you pulled from YouTube? Or are they still on there?
There are some that are still on there, but I did take a lot down. Okay. Not a lot down, but I took a bunch of them down about 2 years ago. But I look at those and I'm like, all right, well, I look younger then because A, I am 3 years younger, and B, I'm almost in the dark here. It's like I'm at some dark lounge or something where everybody looks better. And now I've got this high def DSLR, and sometimes I'm watching myself get older, and it's kind of like, wow, that's like an interesting
really
phenomenon.
Is it kind of like? It's like when you're watching movies and then like somehow your favorite actors when they were way back, like when you meet them way back, like Tom Cruise or whatnot, and now they're just like, oh boy, he looks so old.
Right.
You see that difference then? You actually see that?
Well, I mean,
You're scaring me.
I see the subtle differences, or maybe I just didn't see them before. But yeah, it happens, happens to the best of us.
Oh man, that's scary, Tom. That's scary.
It is scary.
I wish you could tell me that. La 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 la.
And I have, I was just having this conversation. This past year was a stressful year because I did the teacher certification thing, and that was a stressful time in my life. I mean, because I said, you're going to fly home to take 3 exams, and I had frequent flyer miles that I used, so I flew back for free and round trip. I said, not only that, you're not going, me talking to me, you're not going back like I was scolding myself. You are only going one time, so you cannot fail these state exams. So you have got to study for these exams like there is no tomorrow. And I put myself under so much pressure.
Mhm.
The amount of gray hair that has popped out of my head since that I started, and I've got these identical twin sisters at my school, and they're wicked cute. They're two of my favorites. They're like these two little chatty little funny, just the greatest personality. They're constantly running around my desk and like bumping into each other. Every once in a while, they'll just be standing. I don't even realize it anymore. And they'll be standing, one of them, and she'll always yell out, "Many white hair." I'm like, "Many white hair." I'm like, wow, that damn certification course. But you know, I have a friend in Japan uh, who bought me a T-shirt, and it said something in Japanese on the back. It's about 2 years ago. So I turned around and I had somebody snap a picture of it. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, you know, I didn't have many white hair back then, but now my students are telling me I have many white hair. So
Wow, I think
it's like,
stress
yeah,
brings it out. Stress,
yeah,
that stress, but yeah, it brings it out. Well, you're in Korea, it's more than acceptable to diet.
yeah. I told somebody the other day, I said, I think I'm getting more gray hair because I'm not out in the sun as much as I used to be. But that's not the case. I mean, you just get old, you know, I mean, just getting older.
Uh-huh.
I got
Well,
a
you know
friend here.
what? Well, you know what? When my parents visited me in Korea when I was living in Daegu, we're in Seoul, and my dad, like I guess my dad kind of freaked out. I didn't know. He told my mom, yeah. My mom relayed it to me. She's like, "Yeah, your dad's really afraid of being here." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because he realized he told me there are no old people there." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, she's like, "Yeah, apparently your father thinks that there are no old people there because he doesn't see any people with white hair." And I
That
was like, "That's because they diet."
diet, yeah, they're putting the old Grecian formula in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it all the time. My friend that I was telling you about that I lived with in college, I went to go visit him. I'm like, hey man, but he does look young. I mean, his he's got a youthful face and all. And I'm like, yeah, but you look great, man. I mean, you got you know your hair's still really dark. He's like, yeah, well, that's because I dyed. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's 40 years old. He's dyeing his hair. I guess I'm next. I don't know if I could dye my. You know, the one benefit that I have is when I cut my own hair and I buzz it on the sides. You know, I got
By
the
yourself, you do it yourself?
yeah, kind of crazy, but it's not too hard. It's kind of like a modified high and tight type of military haircut. You just cut it
Oh.
really short one time, and it's good to go for like months. So what happened? I'm about to do it. I was gonna do it tonight. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow, but I cut it so short during the summertime that you can't see many white hair. I mean, that's the benefit of it. So,
I think you can see it even more though when you cut it
no,
short, because
no,
you can definitely pick them out. Whereas when it's long, they cover the
I
white hairs.
wish, I wish, but when it's longer like this, they're just like waving at you. Hello, here I am, coming
Oh,
to be a
man.
part of your life permanently.
Don't tell me this. Don't tell me this. I don't want
It's all
to.
good. You don't need anything. I wouldn't worry if I
I'm
were you.
not going wood. Not well. I'm just hoping. I'm trying to maintain my passions. I feel like when you're following your passion and you're having a very I think okay, when you're following your passion, I think there's a tendency to feel younger. Like that's why I love travel, is because I feel like, young. I'm exploring, I'm having this sense of wonder. And when you feel like that, I believe that's the trick to staying young and keeping those white hairs like back in their sockets.
Keeping them away.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, it just happens. I mean, there's nothing you can do. I mean, all you can do is
I
take
feel
care
like
of it.
it's stress. It's stress that brings it out, right?
It could be, I don't know what it is. I mean, I had a lot of stress in Florida too, but I think it was maybe a little change in the diet, because no matter what you do, your diet changes here. I definitely have not been out in the sun. Sometimes I look at my videos and I'm like, man, I can almost see through myself in this video. I am so pale, you know, because you know, no tan. So I don't know if, you know, maybe the vitamin D thing. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't really think about it a whole lot. I mean, except for when my students scream out many right here.
And they're just so honest, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, they're just like, and uh, say there'll be like 4 or 5 of them kind of hanging on my shoulder, and I'm trying to just ignore them, you know, because I'm trying to do something, and I'm like, well, maybe they'll just go away. But they'll just be sitting there, about 5 or 6 of them, and they'll be trying to get my attention, or they'll be like pushing each other, or whatever they do, and then all of a sudden everybody goes quiet, and then you hear them. And I just feel these little fingers just kind of touching my hair. I'm like, yep, they're talking about the gray hair they see in the back of my head. And then one of them pops up with their, you know, the English-speaking king or queen and says something about it. And I'm like, get out of here, go in the classroom. It's good fun. I love it.
Korean culture.
They keep you honest. Oh yeah, Korean culture.
And they keep you on your toes.
Yep. I went to go eat lunch. We should probably wrap up after this, but I went to go eat lunch with my first co-teacher that I'm still close with. She really helped me out in a lot of ways, but I mean, she'll just lay it on thick, like so matter of fact, like, you know, just like, I don't know, the sky is blue, this is soda, you know, factual statement like that. You know, she'll just say, yeah, your face, it has gotten old. You should use moisturizer, and you know, those type of comments. And I'm like, oh, while we're eating, you know, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'll definitely take that in consideration. But yeah, they just told about it.
That's one of the gems of Korean culture too, is that they are very aware of these things, and they will point them out to you so that you can correct them. Which is something that I think a lot of Westerners think is kind of like weird, because we just don't say anything. But I remember I had kind of like something very similar when I was at the lunch, you know, in the cafeteria with my co-teachers and whatnot. And, you know, my co-teacher was across from me, and all of a sudden the PE teacher comes and he puts his hand through his hair, and he said something to her, and I said, well, what did he say? And she said, oh, he told me that the white hairs are starting to show and I should dye them. And I was just like, wow, okay, that's very honest. But they point these things out for you, and they don't, it's not to offend you or anything. I think they feel like they're helping you. They're helping you to look presentable, because in Korea it's very much about, you know, being presentable and looking good.
Well, we want to thank all of the Koreans out there for helping us every day by pointing these things out. You have made us feel so much better. You've enriched our life.
Definitely, definitely.
All right, well, we've been on here for an hour and a half. If we're not careful, Miss Kaaloa, we'll be on here for 3 hours like the first time.
I know, we need to cut it.
We
I don't know if you can even upload that, how much. It's like almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, that'll be, hopefully I can cut off that first portion. But
maybe you should do a part 1 and a part 2.
I see 7 people left on here.
Really? Oh my gosh.
And for you people, thank you for, I can't believe you must be crazy if you're still watching this. Maybe you should do kind of like a small, I don't know, are there any questions? Maybe you should do like a small little video, or cut it down, like answer some of their questions if they have any. I don't know if they do. You know, I'm trying to look at the comments. Maybe we can do this again in a couple months if you're cool with that. Yeah. And look at some, and do some other specific things. Our problem, Christine, is that we tend to end up babbling at the end. I know, we're drifting. We have to stay on topic. But it's all good. It's all good. We got talked about a lot of good insight things. But anyway, if for those of you still on here, there's 8 now. There was like 15 or 20 at one point. Are you serious? They're probably from your page, because I saw you posted that thing at the last minute, which was smart. But people will watch it afterwards, unless they look at the time clock on the video image.
And they'll be like, no.
Like, I'm not sitting for an hour and a half for anything.
I know. That's why you should chop them up.
I wish I could. I wish I could. But it's girltraveler.com, correct?
Yes. GRRRL Traveler.
GRRRL Traveler. I'll put it all in the link. I'll put it all in the comment section. And
Okay.
your associated YouTube page that is starting to gain some momentum.
Yep.
And good luck with all that. But yeah, we'll do this again.
Thank you. Yeah, we should. I might have, I don't know, I might have some news, but I'm not sure yet. Or some good news. I'm hoping.
Yeah, you'll be able to share your good news.
We'll see.
Next time around. All right, well, we'll talk soon, I'm sure, otherwise on email and stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for hanging out, and thanks, everyone, for watching.
Thank you. Thanks, Easter Bunny. Bak, bak. All right, I'm signing off.
Okay.
Peace out.
See ya.